Welcome to Crushing Kayfabe. My name is Jason Garish. This is a special edition of Crushing Kayfabe because we had a special request from a fan to go over and review the Royal Rumble at Albert Hall back in, I believe it was October 3rd, 1991. This was kind of an interesting request. I wasn't sure why they had selected this particular pay-per-view, but this kind of one of the things that my original co-host Matt and myself kind of wanted to do, kind of go over older pay-per-views and do some interesting things, kind of go back in the archives. And the intention of the show was never to be like a recap show or a traditional wrestling podcast. So this kind of fits into that normal, I shouldn't say normal, but the original scheme we kind of had, the original plan. My eyes are looking all over different places. I apologize. I'm using a different camera and a different set for this particular recording. So if it looks like I'm off in the distance or looking at something, I apologize. Plus, I've got notes down here which I'm using too. So but yeah, it was originally recorded and I should say broadcast on Sky in the UK. 5,000 were in attendance. One of the interesting things about this, I don't think this pay-per-view ever aired on TV in America. I think this wasn't until much later that it actually came out on video, and then much later than that actually came out on the WWE network. So this was probably not intended to be canon within the WWE universe, I would think. So kind of interesting. It was probably originally done, I would assume, to expand their market in the UK and do a pay-per-view that was specifically aimed at that audience. So that's my guess, my theory. Because, like I said, this wasn't a normal pay-per-view event that was broadcast in the US. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder if that's why this particular individual selected this one, but let's see. It had a message presented in most complete form due to technical issues. I wonder. I wonder if any of the footage was lost. I don't know. Obviously, I didn't see the original broadcast, and since I live in the United States, I wouldn't have been able to see the original broadcast. So, it was kind of interesting. It was weird seeing wrestling in Albert Hall. It was such a prestigious place in the UK. So it was kind of odd seeing that in such a format, such a venue, but it was cool. Like I said, 5,000 fans. They were all pretty good. It's nice to hear Gorilla Monsoon announce again. It was pretty decent quality. It was a good restoration of the video that I watched it. I watched it on the Peacock Network, of course. Like I said, not bad quality. It was presented in 4:3 aspect ratio, if I remember correctly. Which makes sense because that's what it would have been in standard quote-unquote format for the time. A corny but great interaction between Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon. Classic there. I forgot how little play-by-play Gorilla did. It was a lot of color commentary from Bobby Heenan and a spattering of play-by-play within the within the match by Gorilla. A very sharp contrast to today's modern commentary system. I'm used to hearing AEW where like Excalibur is such an amazing play-by-play guy, at least in my opinion. He details the match very well, so even if you were listening without the visual, you could actually tell what's going on. That's not the case in these older matches with the likes of like Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan obviously playing up the heel role to the maximum in this. They started out with the Nasty Boys versus the Rockers. That was quite a blast from the past. I'm not a big Nasty Boys fan, but the Rockers got a great pop. Let's see. Definitely throughout this entire pay-per-view, could have used a lot less Jimmy Hart. That got annoying after a while with him on the megaphone. It's supposed to be annoying, obviously, because he is a heel, but his stable dominated the booking throughout this entire pay-per-view. So I had to listen to Jimmy Hart's mouth throughout the entire thing, which I could have done without. But it was a good contrast between the two styles of the Rockers and the Nasty Boys, because the Nasty Boys are just brawlers, and the Rockers obviously high flying style with Shawn Michaels and wow, just brain just stopped working right there. But but it was an interesting contrast. You could obviously tell who the heel was throughout the entire match. A lot of storytelling going on. A lot of storytelling, which some people could probably learn a lot from this. Not a whole lot of actual wrestling, but there were some high, obvious high spots because of the Rockers and whatnot. Let's see. I was just thinking to myself, some of the newer teams could really learn from this. It was kind of bad when the ref couldn't tell the difference between Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. That was a little bit of required a whole lot of suspension of disbelief, which I didn't have at the time. So, but still, it was Jannetty got the hot tag, and but eventually, the Nasty Boys, with the help of Hart's megaphone, won the match. So you had a lot of heels winning throughout this. We had Mean Gene interview Ric Flair. Ric Flair wearing the NWA belt. That was interesting. You never heard NWA mentioned, but it was the quote-unquote real championship, which he was calling himself the real champion at the time, which was a great gimmick, but which kind of interesting because Hogan was the champion at the time, and he did not make the trip to England. He was shooting a movie or something, so they had Ric Flair show up with the NWA belt, but he had been using that gimmick in the States for a long time there, which was interesting. It was kind of a rambling promo. Wow. I don't know if maybe it's because I didn't see obviously preceding events leading up to this, but Ric Flair not very coherent, and our second match this was leading into our second match, which was Tito Santana versus Ric Flair. The green robe, I don't think I've ever seen that before. I'm sure I have. I've watched a lot of Ric Flair matches. I just don't remember it. But without the fringe and everything, it looked almost stripped down. You could tell it was, obviously a fancy robe, but it was a little different for Flair. I never saw him. I shouldn't say I never saw him wear that robe, but I don't recall seeing him wear that robe. Kind of forgot that Tito was a pretty good striker. It was interesting to note that Santana was always a mid-carder during his run, and to see Flair go up against a mid-card, I don't know if that was just kind of Vince's way of ribbing the NWA and NWA wrestlers kind of thing, but they had a habit of doing at that time. They would take anybody who was a champion in other promotions like that. When they brought him in, just completely kind of either job him out or mid-card him to make the homegrown talent look a lot better. But then again, there really wasn't any homegrown talent if you think about it, because even Hogan came from Vern Gagne's promotion. So who was really homegrown in WWE if you think about it, but. They definitely showed definite favoritism against a lot of the champions from other promotions. I mean Terry Taylor, for crying out loud, they jobbed him out pretty much. But Flair gets a pin with a roll up and a grab of the tights. Next we had a good promo from the Big Boss Man. Corny promo from Jimmy Hart. I like the Big Boss Man. I forgot how much I enjoyed his. This was really wild in the sense that it was very nostalgic for me. There's a lot of the guys that I grew up watching, especially Big Boss Man. Really good promo from him. I enjoyed that. So it was big. The next match then was Big Boss Man versus Hurricane. a little cartoonish, but it was fun. It was a fun match. You can't really expect a whole lot of technical wrestling from Hurricane, the guy that huge. It's a little long. Could have been a little bit shorter. I mean, not Hurricane. Did I say Hurricane? I'm sorry. It was a Hurricane Earthquake, right? Wins after the interference from the Mountie. The Mountie comes out and interferes. But next we had a Kerry Von Erich promo. Then a promo from the Mountie. Kerry was kind of hard to watch. It's weird. You could almost see a sadness in him that I noticed during the promo and during this whole thing. It wasn't very long after this that he actually took his own life, and he had made comments before that wanting to be with his brothers, and you could almost tell a certain sadness in him. It still blows me away, though, how incredibly mobile this guy was with, missing a foot and everything. And having a prosthetic in its place, he was still remarkably athletic and remarkably mobile, which was really incredible. Lots of time wasted outside the ring in this. A lot of rest holds. Not a very interesting match. Like I say, it was almost sad to watch in some ways because knowing what ended up happening to Kerry, he like I say, he looked like he was suffering from depression at the time. Although obviously as a fan at the time, I had no idea what was going on. But Kerry wins by DQ. Let's see, they had a spot with the Undertaker and Paul Bearer. Let's see, Paul Bearer again. Taker's music played on the organ at Royal Albert. That was pretty awesome. I thought that was great. That was cool. So then we were treated to a Hacksaw Jim Duggan match versus a Taker. Duggan was eventually DQ'd because he used the 2x4. That not really much for clean wins from for the good guys in this, the baby faces. Taker's still awesome to watch. Not much of that. Even it was weird. You'd still hear, even in the UK, you were still hearing USA chants for Hacksaw Jim Duggan, which was kind of weird. But but that was cool. Great promo from Roddy Piper after this. Really great promo. I miss hearing Roddy Piper, man. And they had a promo with Typhoon. Promo with Power and Glory. Promo with Legion of Doom, which was, anyone knows me, Legion of Doom / the Road Warriors. I prefer Road Warriors, but are my favorite tag team of all time. And man, watching this, I remembered why. I forgot just how quick and powerful and agile these guys were. Hawk and Animal were just that, animals. They were beasts. I didn't even write down who won this. I'm guessing, if my server memory, I watched this when I was sick about a week ago, and I'm gonna say LOD won, but geez, that just impressed me so much. I forgot how amazing those guys were, how scary they were, how frightening. We have a promo with British Bulldog. Obviously they're playing up to the UK fans, which makes complete sense. After this, though, Lord Alfred Hayes comes out to announce the Barbarian versus British Bulldog. British Bulldog wins. Surprisingly, a pretty entertaining match. Bulldog obviously got a huge pop, and they're playing up to the British fans, which makes complete sense. We had a Nasty Boys promo. Like I said, Lord Alfred Hayes joins commentary. The next thing was the Battle Royale itself, which basically had every entrance was every individual that had a match, plus Piper and Typhoon. And the Hercules was the first one eliminated. Then Tornado, down to eventually came down to Typhoon and Mountie versus Davy Boy. British Bulldog won. Once again, obviously playing up the crowd, which makes sense. As this whole entire pay-per-view, you could kind of tell was geared towards expanding their reach into the UK and expanding their audience size into the UK. But unless they enhance the audio, it sounded like they got a great pop, and just in out of 5,000 fans, not a ton. But it sounded good. It sounded like they got a great pop out of the deal. They're obviously placating the crowd with that win, but Typhoon Earthquake went to will basically beat down British Bulldog after this, and surprise, Andre the Giant comes out with the save, makes his way out of there. I think he had a cane, if I'm not mistaken. Really, one of Andre's last public appearances in this. Really, in some ways kind of sad to watch because his mobility was horrible at the time. I mean, it was good to see, obviously they're, once again, like they said, they're placating the crowd. It was a, what's the word they use? It was enhancement. It was an attraction, I should say. It's the word that gets thrown around a lot. But that's exactly what it was. Came down for the save. He had a crowd favorite Andre come through, like I said, saving the British quote unquote a local boy, if you can call him that. To please the fans, and sent the fans home on a happy note, which was pretty cool. All in all, it was interesting. It was fun I haven't watched 1991, what was that? Jeez, was that? That's hard to believe. Was that 31 years ago? Holy cow! Radically different styles in wrestling from current day, but it was fun to watch. It brought me back to my childhood a lot. I'm really glad this individual suggested that I watch it, which I'm very happy to do. I think the runtime was close to 3 hours, if I'm not mistaken, which was typical for pay-per-view back then. Before we had 3-hour Raws and whatnot. It was fun seeing Undertaker move the way he moves in back in '91. Yeah, it's kind of scary to say that. But it was fun to watch. Like I said, it took me down memory lane for a lot of things. I grew up watching a lot of these guys wrestle. Watched them Saturday mornings with my mom, so it was fun to watch a lot of these guys. Some of the style, you go back to, like I was saying, with the Kerry Von Erich match, man, a lot of wrestle holds, a lot of stuff that wouldn't fly in today's day and age. You'd get a lot of boring chants if you tried to do a similar match to that in this day and age. So that's something you couldn't pull off. But it was fun to watch. Some of the storytelling ideas, like I said, the Nasty Boys voice versus the Rockers had some really great storytelling in it. Really great heel versus babyface interaction there, which a lot of teams now could probably learn a lot from. And it wasn't an overly long match. It wasn't necessarily a spot fest either, but the contrasting styles really played well against each other. Other than that, a lot of stuff, like I said, I loved seeing Road Warriors again. I love seeing that. That was awesome. A lot of really cool nostalgia. Loved seeing Roddy Piper's promo. Man, that guy could cut a promo, and he was awesome. Not nothing spectacular ring, but he gets you interested in the match and really makes stuff seem special and interesting. I really enjoyed that. Like I said, some of the styles I'm glad that we progressed from in 30 years, but some of the stuff that some people nowadays could really learn from and learn some storytelling techniques from. You don't have to be a spot fest. Everything doesn't have to be a spot fest. I mean, the Rockers came out, and I look at them and they're an obvious rip off of the Rock and Roll Express. Shawn Michaels even talks about it in his book, how he used to ride with them, and they were mentors of his back in, I can't remember if it was Memphis or wherever they were wrestling at the time, but Ricky Morton was a great mentor of his early on, and you can tell, because they were kind of, I got fly buzzing around here, I'm sorry, and it's annoying the heck out of me. I'm just trying to catch them, but you can kind of tell that they learned a ton from the Rock and Roll Express, and they were kind of, in some ways, WWE's answer to them and WWE's kind of wish version of them kind of thing. They're a prettier version of Rock and Roll Express. Obviously, Shawn Michaels went on to have a tremendous career, and Marty Jannetty not so much. And once he was dumped from the team, and it's funny because he was initially the star that they wanted to bring on. Eventually, he was going to be the breakaway star from the Rockers, and Shawn Michaels was the talent that they he was the add-on kind of. He was the plus one. They really wanted Jannetty, which man did that turn. As Shawn Michaels proved himself, and Jannetty has become incoherent pretty much nowadays, But a very fun trip down memory lane. Like I said, I'm very glad that this individual suggested this particular pay-per-view. Really interesting watch. Really interesting contrasting the styles from today to now, and it gave me a really good perspective on where we are today as far as a lot of things. So it was really cool to go back and kind of examine history again. So like I said, I'm glad I got the opportunity to watch that. That's pretty cool. I might be going back and watching more of the older pay-per-views like this. Unfortunately, Peacock, when compared to the way the WWE network was set up, is pales in comparison. There was a lot more contact, and it was much easier to search through. So I've tried to find old matches from, like, say, the Rockers and whatnot, and it's very difficult to find within Peacock the way they have things structured. It's actually horrible. but hey, like I said, I'm glad to have taken the trip back. I really enjoyed it, and and thank you for suggesting it. But let's end the show now and say once again, check us out. Check out Then Now in downtown Trenton, Tennessee, and check. You can purchase some of my stuff. You can purchase my CDs there. You can purchase some handmade goods from my wife, and check her Hooked by Jenna Lynn out. And check out Trenton Tabletop and Arcade. And check them out once again, also downtown Trenton. And thank you for supporting us. If you really want to support the show, go to Patreon, become a patron of the show for just $1 a month. Help keep the lights on and help us out immensely. Just for $1 a month, you can get the show ad free for just $1. So check us out there. Check us out on CrushingKayfabe.com, Crushing Kayfabe with a K, and other than that, thank you so much for tuning in, enjoying the show, and God bless.